Hello, everybody. I'm very happy to be here. I'm your judge for today's session. My name is Tiffany Scurry. I'm the Chief Ethics and Compliance Officer at Western Digital, a tech company in San Jose. So to start with just an overview that today's session, I think, as you know, is going to be divided into two segments. We'll have a 10-minute presentation followed by some feedback that I'll be able to provide to the team. And then after that, we'll go into the 90-second part of the presentation. And following the 90-second part, we'll have time to engage in any kind of Q&A if you'd like to discuss what it was like going through this, have any questions about how to frame up these kind of presentations or anything like that. We'll have plenty of time afterwards to engage in a conversation if that would be helpful to you. So if you all are ready, I can go ahead and kick off the 10-minute session. You ready to get going? Okay, so for the 10-minute part of the presentation, you have been called back by the company that you gave your full presentation to yesterday for a second visit, so congratulations. They have asked you to speak only about the ethical aspects of the problem today and to explain why your solution successfully handles those ethical issues. You will have 10 minutes, there will be no Q&A. You cannot use any slides or video, so you probably don't want to have more than 2 or 3 members of your team do this. So when you're ready, whenever you're ready, go ahead and begin.
So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Twisha Firke, and I'm here with Nain, Christopher, and Ricky. We are Team 4 Squares. The problem that our fictitious financial institution aims to tackle today is of improving healthcare accessibility for small businesses in Mexico. Mexico has a very large informal sector and is the second most unequal country in Latin America. The issues that we intend to tackle mainly for small businesses there are that first, there are very few microfinancing opportunities in Mexico. And second, small enterprises graduating and growing into big businesses have difficulty securing money from financial institutions. This in turn affects the health and living for a major sector of the population. The 3 Sustainable Development Goals that map with these issues broadly focus on healthy life, sustainable economic growth, and reducing inequality. Our proposed solutions should provide additional funding sources for small businesses and in turn help communities improve the health and quality of life in Mexico. To give an overview about the current scenario in Mexico, the healthcare there is deeply tied with employment in the sense that employers pay for insurance of their employees. However, with the large informal sector, that has led to around 20 million people without access to good healthcare. Nain will now go over how financial institutions can help improve this access.
So what we know is that the global health burden is evolving and the health financing is therefore becoming more challenging. And we also found out that private sector funders need to see financial return linked to different providers of capital, and therefore they need new partnerships which can make that link. And we think that adding a health factor to the already existing ESG will be one of the potential solutions. So the structure that we are proposing is having a ESG plus health initiative in all the financial institutions. So why we say that is because this structure fosters a lot of collaboration between investors, regulators, and company to enhance transparency and delivery on the ESG criteria. A lot of developing and developed countries have already started going on this mission, and Kazakhstan, which is also a developing capital market country, is engaging in this. Several examples show that the profitability of firms have increased, and 72% of the companies who were surveyed by Global Health Initiative of World Economic Forum state that they have a negative impact on their business from various health issues arriving. So adding and getting this structure in place is a crucial thing. The next solution that we propose is emphasizing a lot on the macroeconomic benefits of investments in health. When we studied the data, we found out that a lot of healthcare systems will go dramatic change, and attractiveness of healthcare investments will be crucial. And this won't be driven by usual suspects like pharmaceutical companies. And that's why we need more investment products to access future growth potential. This is the compelling case that we need to put in front of private companies to invest in healthcare. But at the same time, we need to take into consideration how these companies will adopt to different financial investments that financial institutions are coming with. So, to entice them and to ensure that these businesses are attracted, the third solution that we propose is having discounted insurance. And this works in collaboration with the government and other financial institutions. A lot of economy in Mexico is still relying on community financing, and we are proposing opportunities for them to have less stringent loan repayment cycles so that they can promote their development. Chris will explain in detail about how this has ethical implications and how this resolves our situation.
Thank you. I'm going to explain a bit how this issue affects not only businesses and the economy, but people. Imagine you're a worker. Your name is Carlos. You are 35 years old, married, and you're father of 2 young kids. One day at work, you have an accident. You're a former worker, meaning you have social insurance. The ambulance takes you to a public hospital and you are stabilized. Your family gets told that you need urgent surgery. The procedure seems to be a complicated one, so you need to be operated by a highly skilled surgeon. However, this surgeon's shift starts tomorrow in the morning, so you have to wait. You know that while waiting, you may lose your leg or even your life. So your family makes a tough decision so your employer, if you had a good employer, your employer makes a tough decision to take you into a private facility. 2 hours and you are done. You have the surgery and your life is saved. From a business perspective, the owner is insecure and is somehow frustrated about the system, and he's asking herself or himself, why should I pay if the system does not work? However, this path has 2 implications. After the surgery, the employer is no longer obligated to pay for the salary of this worker if he is not able to work. And if the employee is not able to work again, the government may provide a pension. Now let's imagine you are an informal worker. You work for a very similar company, producing the same stuff, and your skills are just the same. The only difference is that you are an informal worker. So the ambulance takes you to a public hospital that accepts people without coverage. Here, you are not the first in line. You have to wait to be stabilized. So your family comes in place. They have to make the decision to take you into a private facility if they have the means. If they have the means, they take you to the private facility and they save your life. However, this may bankrupt your family. Even if you walk out the hospital safe, you may find subsequent challenges and difficulties. For example, you may not be able to work and you still have to pay for your medicines and treatment. From the financial institution's perspective, this is a complicated problem that's not being addressed from the linkage between financials and healthcare. Financial institutions have the opportunity to offer financial instruments that addresses healthcare as a key component, meaning that if we attract more companies to be formal, so they are going to require more financial instruments. And this is because we have research and data that supports that the formal employers are sometimes 10 to 100x more productive than informal companies. So from the financial institution's perspective, this is good business. Moreover, formal companies achieve higher economies of scale and they grow. This means that they hire more employees. And most certainly they are going to hire high-skilled employees with high wages. So these employees are going to require and demand more financial services from the banking system. So this is going to create a positive loop. This is the start of a conversation to get the pie bigger at the intersection of healthcare and financial institutions, not only for the good of the formal economy, but also for the entire region. Latin America, if these recommendations are implemented, have the potential to grow its GDP by more than 50%. Latin America at this moment has a great opportunity that it has reached a sweet spot demographically, meaning that the population is not too young nor too old. Having said that, Latin America's population is aging fast. So we have a short period of time to act. This is why we choose this project and this problem to address, because it has serious implications not only within the region, but globally. Thank you, and now we are happy to answer any of your questions.
Okay, good job. Let's see, in terms of feedback for this portion, I would say all of you are good presenters. You're very clear, articulate, easy to understand. So you should definitely have confidence in your abilities in this space. It was a pleasure listening to each of you present, and it was very nicely done. In terms of how the three pieces were put together, I did get a little bit lost. I wasn't sure how the three different pieces were cohesive. Our third presenter, the story that you started with was very compelling, right? Imagine that you're a worker and this scenario unfolds. I felt myself really drawn in at that moment to what you were saying. Using something like that would be very terrific at the very beginning of the presentation. And then you can kind of do your story arc from there to go through, what are the solutions what are the problems that you're trying to address? How are they connected to the business need? And then what are your proposed solutions? Somehow across the entire presentation, I got lost in where I was supposed to be in that story arc. So there's something in the organization maybe that could be tightened up a little bit. And then of course, time management, right? We went a little bit over the 10 minutes, which is easy to do. And really the way that I address that personally, kind of the easiest thing to do is to just practice, practice, practice. It gets super boring practicing your presentation over and over again, that it's kind of the only way to address that. So you practice and you realize you're long, so you cut some stuff out. You practice again, you cut more stuff out, and you end up with a better end result when you do that. It's really boring. You'll drive yourself crazy practicing and practicing, but actually by cutting material out, anytime you're in a presentation situation like this, always remember that less is more. You know a lot, you're very well researched, you're into this thing, you're passionate about it, you want to share everything you know, but the problem is you're going to lose the listener. So it really is true in these situations that less is more. If you can trim stuff out, you're going to hold my attention better. I'm going to hear what you're saying. I'm going to feel interested. And then hopefully, I will be interested enough that I ask questions. And, as our relationship develops, that will be your opportunity to give me more and more information. But, when you're engaging in your first presentation, always think about less is more. So see whatever you can trim out. But very nicely done.